Sword Rider, Transformers reviews and toy related chat. Sword Rider, Sword Rider.
So I had a WhatsApp message the other day from Mr. SMS number 1 who said, Zort Rider, I've put a video up on the Facebook page, and then I thought of you. And after 2 or 3 messages, which felt more like a mental challenge from the Crystal Maze, I was half expecting a crystal to pop up at the end of it. David done some homework, and it's been a while since he's done some, to be honest. He's never going to pass his GCSEs. But he's set us a challenge. He's asked us what, where, and when is important. I think that's what it is. Let's look. When, what, and what is important. When, what, and what's important. Ah, right. When, what, and what's important. So I'm interpreting this as, and I'm guessing this is right because this is what Dave did in his video. And if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's a wicked piece of work. He actually does look like Luke Skywalker and Optimus Prime's love child in that video. But there you go. So I'm interpreting this, and when and where were the key moments within my Transformers collecting that maybe kept me on track, got me down that rabbit hole again. Now Transformers is something I've been collecting on and off since I was about 3 or 4 years old. It's something I've always returned to, and it's been a constant throughout my life, to be honest with you. There hasn't been a year gone by in my life when I haven't had a Transformer bought for me. My mum to this day will still buy me a Transformer for Christmas, just so I've had one, or something Transformers anyway. So I think the first point is obviously when you were a kid, and it was Bruticus. I think I've spoken about this before. I had Bruticus, Powermaster Prime, and some of the what were they called? Micromasters. The police and fire engine set. Forget what they were called. Rescue team, I think. For my birthday, I can't remember which birthday. But I had them anyway. I can remember vividly opening them. I can remember the wrapping paper that was on there. I can remember spying in a box just before my birthday and seeing Powermaster Prime in there. And I can remember picking Bruticus out of the case catalogue over the fence. I can remember all that. Oh, by the way, sorry if I'm a bit groggy tonight. I've got a little bit of a cold. And then from then on, I'd go through phases into other things. I went through a phase of Ghostbusters, then went back onto Transformers. In fact, I actually remember choosing Astro Train over a Proton Pack. I had a Proton Pack the other week then, but there you go. I remember going on to G.I. Joe's, back to Transformers, Visionaries, back to Transformers, Star Wars, back to Transformers, Batman, back to Transformers. It was always that constant cycle. Probably revolving around when the new toys come out, because it didn't used to be as frequent. Like when it went into like Headmasters and all that kind of stuff, and because I was a bit late to the party, it seemed to be around when there was some reissues or there was some old stock available. But I always came back to them, and even through my late teens, I remember in 2002, I think it was, my old dear picked me up. I think it was the Car Robots Optimus Prime and Ultra Magnus that merged together. That's an absolute nightmare to pose. Got me that for Christmas one year, even though I wasn't into them really at that time. I still had one. I think in adult life, there's a couple of things that got me hooked. One occurrence was the 2007 movie. I remember actually we were planning to go to America, and we arranged a holiday around the release of that film, because I think, if I remember rightly, it was out in July over there, and it didn't hit over here till August, I believe that was the case. It might only be a couple of weeks in it, but we went over there, and I watched it in Universal Studios in America, and that was a great experience. And then I went to Toys R Us in America, and I picked up loads of the movie figures, filled up my suitcase. It was such a great time, and that really kicked off my collecting again. But I was still living at home at this point. Then I moved out, got my own place, set up an office. It was more of a games room at first, and I had all my games on the shelf. And then slowly I picked up like bits here and bits there, nothing major, just the odd thing that I like. And I actually remember standing in a shop called Hooties, for those of you around the Midlands or in the UK, and they had a Universe Cyclonus in there, and I looked at it and I said, what am I doing buying dust collectors? And walked away and left it. And it took me bleeding ages to get one of them bloody things at the right price, but never mind. So yeah, I left it for a bit. I was more into my games and more into going out, all that kind of stuff. And then I turned 30. And I went to the MCM Comic Con in London with my sister. And after queuing for 4 hours, I got in there and I had a little bit of birthday money in my pocket. And there, this dude was. The reissue Predaking. Now, I always wanted a Predaking. He was like in my top 5 bots that I really, really wanted as a kid. And seeing that there, in touching distance, Dave was saying this in his video, it was there and he looked at it. He's this MP1 he saw. I walked round and I looked at that store 3 or 4 times and I thought, can I justify paying £100 for that thing? I think it was 120. I managed to negotiate it down and I got it for £100. And I thought I was going to regret it, but I didn't. In fact, I then walked to another store and I picked up, and you can't see him because he's just in front of Predaking. Got a box Cyclonus. I say boxed, it was open, there was no insert in there and that, but it come with a box, instructions were complete. So I spent about £150 on robots. More than probably I've ever spent out my own money, except for when I was a kid. Crazy. And that scratched an itch. It was like, oh, these, not so much an itch. An itch is the wrong word. There was a realisation that you're a 30-year-old man with a little bit of disposable income, and there's some things here that you've always wanted that you can buy. And there's this thing now that wasn't about when you were little called eBay. And there's a thing about eBay that it makes toys accessible, whereas they weren't in the past. I've talked about this before. But now it's about will you actually pay the amount that's on there. You can get whatever you want, it's about the money. And I did go over the top a little bit, but I started to fill a lot of gaps in my collection. I bought a Skylynx, who's down there not long after a G1. I bought a Computron, all complete, individually as well, not in all in one go. I bought each bot at a time. A Preceptor, a Blaster, a Rodimus Prime with his wings on the back because mine was missing when I was a kid. Sound Blaster. What else did I buy? Mainly post-movie stuff, to be honest with you. A Sharpticon. As I say, new Cyclonus. The Galvatron in his proper colours. I just went a little bit over the top, to be honest with you. I'm starting to fill all my G1 gaps. And then I started to step into more and more stuff, and that was really the catalyst for me getting into collecting as such. But there was one more thing that changed my collecting habits, and that's the influence of others. We've all been there when we start collecting again, and there was a gentleman, and I forget his name, let me find out his name actually. Barry Shaw, that was it. His video is really good. If you haven't seen it, check him out. But he talked about how he got upwards of 1,000 bots at one point, and then he started to streamline his collection down. I have got, I don't even know. I think this is where I'm a bit envious of Wilderness, to be honest with you. He knows exactly how many Transformers he's got. I haven't got the bloody foggiest. I'm guessing over 1,500, 2,000, but the majority of them are packed in boxes upstairs, which is a sin and a shame. But I will get more of them out. I will do that. Where's my point on this? Oh yeah. So before going to the last auto assembly, before getting involved on Twitter and doing my first YouTube video, I had one Masterpiece figure, I think. That was MP1 that my old dear bought me for Christmas one year from Toys R Us. And I didn't have any third party. I didn't like the idea of third party. And that's something I've gone full circle on, to be honest with you. But when I stepped into the community, I got influenced a little bit more about masterpieces and third parties. And in some ways that's great because it opened my eyes to a whole new realm of collecting. The comic book side, like the Lost Light, because I was a G1 perfectionist. If it's not G1, it's not right. Even though I accepted the movie stuff and actually liked some of the designs, it was only once I started to become part of the community I got into Transformers Prime, for example. Santiago Jones sent me a load of them for next to nothing, and he really kick-started my Prime collection, and I absolutely loved those toys. Animated, I hated the idea of it, the Johnny Bravo look, until I watched it, until I held the toys, and it was like, oh my god, these were incredible. So another key moment was starting off as part of this community, because it opened my eyes to a whole new range of toys, to be honest with you. Even third party, and I'm not going to get into that. Maybe that's a video for another time. But I've gone full circle on that now, and I like my masterpieces, but they're not as fun. But as I say, that's another story for another time. But yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? I'm 33 years old now, and these things have been involved in my life for the best part of 30 years. And unlike some people who've had a bit of a break in between, even though the volume's been turned down, and other people have been collecting for me, like I was mentioning my old dear and even my wife and all that stuff, it's still a constant. So yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting looking back and looking at your collection and looking at key moments. So recap. Every 6 months as a kid. The 2007 movie, big influence. The 30th birthday Predaking, big influence. And doing things like this and speaking to people on Twitter, massive influence. And will it go on? I'm sure it will. Even though I'm going through a little bit of a lower period at the moment with Transformers, and when I say lower, I mean I'm just not buying as regularly. I'm not justifying spending £100 on a toy. But that'll change. We've got TF Nation next year. No doubt I'll be buying something there that I don't really need and all of that stuff. But yeah, it's interesting, and I think it'd be interesting where we go in the next couple of years as well, as a fandom and as a collector, because something will change in this market. So many third-party companies, so many knockoffs, so much first-party stuff as well. The market is really saturated, and I think it'd be interesting to see what the next important point will be for us all. Will it be Power of the Primes? Will it be another masterpiece that's going to blow us away like MP36 there? Or will there be a little bit of a lull first? Or will it be something completely new? Will it be Cyberverse? Probably doubt it, but it might be. So yeah, I know this has turned into a bit of a ramble, but there you go. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts, really. Thanks to SMS number 1. I love it when he sets some homework. Yeah. And I just have to confirm also 100% that SMS number 1 isn't Ray's father.
No!